So I've just finished reading Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. So this video is going to be full of spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers and you don't want to know what happens, then you need to click out of this video. In light of the age of this book and the fact that if you want to read it, I don't know why, but you will probably already have read it, and also the fact that apart from the main part of the story, which is mentioned in the synopsis anyway, absolutely nothing else happens. You're basically going to be spoiled in this video, so if you don't want to know what happens, click out now. This story is about a man called Gregor who's the sole breadwinner for his family. He's supporting his mother, his father and his sister and paying all the bills, as well as, for some reason, paying off some debt that his father had incurred. For some reason his father can't do this himself and neither can the rest of the family. So the entire family relies on Gregor for their whole income. So Gregor goes out to work every day while the rest of the family sits around in the house doing absolutely nothing. So one morning when Gregor wakes up, he discovers that he's turned into a cockroach. Yeah, I did say a cockroach. He's turned into a massive cockroach. So Gregor's first thought when waking up and finding out that he's no longer a man and he's suddenly a humongous cockroach is, oh no, I'm going to be late for work. He's not worrying about how he's going to change back into a human or any other aspect of, oh my god, I'm a cockroach, why am I a cockroach? No, it's I'm going to miss my train, I'm going to be late for work and my boss isn't going to be happy. So apparently Gregor's boss is such a slave driver that he doesn't accept any excuse for not turning up or even being late. Even death would be considered malingering. And Gregor spends most of the morning worrying what happens when his boss turns up to find out why he's not turned up for work in the morning. Because for some reason in this world, in Gregor's world, being a cockroach is not a good enough reason for not turning up at work. In Gregor's defence, he does turn out to be pretty much spot on about this. The boss doesn't turn up himself, but he sends his deputy to find out why Gregor didn't turn up that morning. And when the deputy can't get into Gregor's room because he'd locked it the night before when he went to sleep and now he doesn't have hands because he's a cockroach, he gets really annoyed that he won't open the door and basically just sacks him through the door. At this point in the story, Gregor is still trying to communicate with the people on the other side of the door. All morning he's had his parents and his sister come into the door with increasing urgency telling him, you're going to be late for work, come on, are you getting ready? And he's been trying to speak back to them. He doesn't realise straight away that they can't really understand the noises he's making now that he's a cockroach, but he can still understand them perfectly well. So when his boss's subordinate comes along and sacks him through the door, he's frantically saying, no, I'll come out, I'll get ready soon, I won't be long, because apparently he can still turn up at work as a cockroach, and somehow he manages to unlock the door just using his mouth. So once Gregor's revealed in all his cockroachy glory, the deputy promptly legs it down the stairs in terror and leaves the house. And the rest of the family stand there and they're looking at Gregor thinking, how on earth has he turned into a cockroach? Because they immediately know that that is Gregor. Because Gregor is missing, the cockroach is there, therefore Gregor's a cockroach. And obviously they are right. But what I want to know is, how did they know this? Why was that their first thought? Because if you went into a room, let's say I went into a room that had been locked and one of my family members had been in there, and I went in and there's a gigantic cockroach and the family member's not there, I'm not going to look in that room and go, oh mother, you're looking a bit peaky today. My first thought's going to be like, what the fuck at my mother? But no, they don't wonder where Gregor's gone. They immediately know that the cockroach is Gregor, so they probably lock him back in his room and go and watch telly. Okay, not telly. But they didn't really do anything to help Gregor. They just locked him in his room and then wondered what they were going to do because they were now sharing a house with a gigantic cockroach that used to be the son. And how they knew this straight away wasn't really clear. It wasn't like this was a thing in the story that people all over town had been randomly turning into cockroaches or other insects. It wasn't like they said, oh yeah, this happened to the Joneses at number 42, they've had a terrible time of it. But even though they knew what had happened to Gregor, they completely failed to even attempt to do anything about it. They just left him in his room and waited for him to die. Never mind that this guy has been their sole financial supporter for many years. They don't try and get him any help. They just lock him in his room and then wonder, how are we going to feed ourselves now that nobody's going out earning money? We're going to have to get jobs. So they did all go out and get jobs, and they took in lodgers. But they didn't tell the lodgers about the cockroach in the second bedroom. Perhaps unsurprisingly, when the lodgers discovered Gregor the cockroach living upstairs in the bedroom, they weren't best impressed. So they all promptly quit, left, and gave a bad review on TripAdvisor. So once more, family and cockroach are left alone, and the family are all moaning because they can't move house because how would they transport the cockroach? Which by this point probably does say something about the family, because by this point they started to resent Gregor so much that I'm surprised that they haven't just flung him out in the street. But that said, now that he's no longer earning, Gregor is definitely surplus to requirements. As it turns out though, the family didn't need to worry. Increasingly depressed and refusing to eat, Gregor dies soon after. And when the family eventually notices that Greg has passed away, they promptly decide to go out for a walk and talk about how fantastic their life is going to be now that Greg is no longer around to stop them from moving house. So did I enjoy this book? No, not really. I didn't really understand why they couldn't have given some reason as to why Gregor turned into a cockroach. It wouldn't matter how far-fetched the reason had to be. I mean, I've talked about suspending disbelief in fiction before. You can basically do anything you want. You have to give some kind of reason, but you can do anything you want. The normal physical rules do not have to apply in fiction, and yet there was no attempt at giving any reason for why Gregor suddenly randomly turned into a cockroach. There wasn't some mad scientist with a vendetta, some witch who'd slipped him a potion, divine punishment for some wrongdoing. Basically, Gregor had done everything right. He'd tried to support his family, he'd looked after everybody, and in return, the minute he had any problem, they all buggered off, locked him in his room and left him to die. So there may be some moral message in this book that has somehow passed me by, and I've deliberately not Googled to find that out before I filmed this video because I wanted to give my own opinions and not unintentionally absorb somebody else's. But from what I can see, the moral of this story is don't trust your family because they'll all stab you in the back the minute anything goes wrong. Well, on that cheerful note, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Bye.